I'm going to start up the recorded lyrics and lunch. Um,
Lunch.
yeah. So I guess we had a beautiful conversation about divine union and at the
Mhm.
breakfast table this morning. It's kind of been, I guess, a topic is divine order, and we are not in a divine order of any sort at this moment in time. Like I'm talking about the general public, and we're in transition here. I think we have a uh, good foundation that has been created, um, and in that space, everybody's kind of transitioning into their more natural roles from doing, and it allows you to go from doing to being. And um, and
You
before I
mean,
guess I speak any more on that, I was actually going to see what kind of what's been going on in your week, and that's kind of I've been feeling that topic a lot lately. So I
so
topic and
uh, I have a question about this, what you're talking about. So the divine masculine and feminine. So getting into your roles of like divine feminine and masculine, or having both, or having both roles.
we have the capabilities of both roles in us. The more natural roles is to be you would be in divine feminine, and I would be in a divine masculine. And I spoke to it not too long ago. Like for me, I'm trying to find balance in the two personally. Like I'm trying to find a nice balance where I can I can pull any part of the spectrum um, when it's needed, whatever's going on in front of me, have the awareness and then respond from one of those positions that is needed. If it needs to be a hard line, then go hard divine masculine. if it needs if it needs love and compassion and nurturing, and go more towards the feminine side.
Interesting.
And we have those in us, and we have a more natural state that's within each one of us.
Yeah. I do feel that ever since I've been more in tune with spirit, I've been probably identifying more with my divine feminine, just because I become softer in my ways. Like I'm not as harsh, like with my daughter, or I don't know if that has correlates to that, but I do feel like more relaxed, maybe. Like I used to be a little bit more like stressed out and just um maybe, yeah, I would say a little bit harsh. Like I get like in this mode where I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. Like I start kind of like yelling at her, and she kind of made me aware that like she made me aware of that, like she's like, you do this when you're stressed out. So I'm just becoming more aware of my triggers when I get a little bit stressed, like if I feel stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been doing I don't do overwhelm lately. So and I also, part of that has, so what I've even realized like this week, right? So this week I didn't do my homework, and I was fretting about it and stressing about it and frustrated about it. And then I just let it go and said to myself, well, I'm having integrity to with myself, because it's self-love and integrity with myself. Because if that's something I can't do, but at least I did the master class, I'm getting ready for this trip. There's just a lot of balls have been juggling this past week, and I was not able to do the video or any upgrades, um, or connection call. So I just kind of became more relaxed, because I was kind of fretting, and I was like, I got to do this. I got to do the video. Blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if that's a masculine, not, I would say toxic. That could be toxic masculine, right? So and then I just felt relaxed. I made the decision that, you know what? I need a balance. I need to have peace. That I come first, even though, yes, I'm out of integrity with earth waking, but I mean, I just couldn't do it. It's just one of these things. I really wanted to get that in before my trip and everything. I just couldn't. So just learning to have a balance and learning to make yourself first, even though it could be an important, very important commitment, but you have to make yourself first and foremost. So, and that helps me be more relaxed and maybe in the divine feminine more. I don't know, but
I feel that, and that resonates with me. Like you in that laying down the lines, and um you have to do that. That's not your natural role, so it probably creates some sort of conflict within yourself and overwhelm within yourself, and it comes across that way because that's not natural. Your natural is more to be in flow, and that's when you feel in your more natural state, is in that flow space. So when you are laying down the law, and my guess is that you've probably played that role for a while. I can't remember exactly, like you were a single mom for a while, so you had to play both parts, you know,
yeah,
and it probably came across that same way during that time as well. And when so you feel like you've gone into more of a flow lately, do you feel at the same time your faith has, like with God and love and in that space, has that also, like,
increased.
yeah, you feel like that bond is stronger?
Yeah, I do. And um, also with the Reiki practice and the energy healing, that's also very calming. So all in all, I'm working on peace, like always trying to be more at peace. And sometimes you have to put yourself first, and you have to just say, you know, uh, yeah, I could be out of integrity with someone else, but at least I'm in integrity with myself because it's a form of self-love. And sometimes in life you can't always fulfill every commitment all the time, you know. Um, but yeah, I do feel like more in tune with spirit. And like even the other day, I was talking to Stephen you about this, I think a couple weeks ago, about my intuition, and I've been testing it lately. And there's this thing with this vocal sound healer that I have to get my certificate soon with it with this with this course I've been taking, and he's supposed to be coming, I think, doing a tour. So I wanted to maybe do a workshop and host a workshop with him in the States. So I said, well, it would be a good opportunity to meet him too, because he does songs with mantras and stuff like that. And it's would be one of my passions too as well. But I thought that's interesting because he's very spiritual. So he talks about this pull, like very very in tune with earth waking. So he talks about a pull, right? So you're in that flow and your intuitive space, you get a pull, right? So rather than from your head, and then I told you that a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I had a list I had to do, but then I said, no, no, no. The voice said, go to the paper. And then it just flowed smoothly, right, with that person, which I couldn't get in touch with for a long time. And so now I'm just testing it more and more. So the other couple of days ago, is it 2 days ago or something? I was like, okay, something said, check your email now, because I was waiting for an email from him, for the workshop. And boom, just like 8 minutes ago, it was the top of the list. And then something else said, like, because I wrote him back. So he said, check your email again. And it was on the top of the list. He had just written me. So I feel like I'm fine tuning my intuition more and more. And it's fun. It's like a fun game to actually test. It's really fun. Like it's really cool. I think earth waking definitely has a lot to do with it. Definitely. And just the community, the people, the support, the upliftment. We're all uplifting one another. We're all having these awesome connections and conversations. And it's like lifting our consciousness, right? And helping each other become more and more in tune, I think, as a collective. And we're all helping one another, feeling it. So,
Well, and you're being it, and seeing you're seeing it and the miracles that come from that, like to actually listening to your inner guidance, which then would correlate into more faith as you keep playing that game that you know you and it can it's a fun game actually because you're like I'm I'm able to I am the creator of all this, you know, and just to be able to see all that when you listen, how it ends up flowing for you if you just put your intentions in there.
Yeah. And the master classes are also helping me as well become more in tune because as I'm teaching and I'm learning it. In the class, I'm teaching and I'm learning from others. I'm learning as I teach because when one person teaches, two people learn if you're teaching one person, but you know, but uh, yeah, so like even when I'm talking about my gratitude rampages and the whole dynamic of that uh is helping me also to become more in tune with my intuition as well. So yeah, it's a fun process, but I don't know what if anybody has anything else. Do you have
Well, we're gonna keep Sarah muted this whole time. You've had like 4 different backgrounds. Where are you moving around?
Yeah, because people kept on walking behind, and I'm like, okay, maybe if I switch to the other side. The Mama Carol came out, and she's like talking, and I'm on a video, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna move to this side. Maybe it'll help. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been beautiful having Sarah in here. We can't wait till you come down, Sophia.
I can't wait either. That's funny, huh?
That's at the end of July, correct?
July 30th. Yeah. That's funny that Sarah's going to be down there. That's
Yeah,
cool. Get to meet you both in person, huh?
she's like molded right into the village. It's been beautiful to see. Uh, yeah,
That's awesome.
she's already involved in a bunch of things going on here. So
I was actually a little bit surprised, a little bit shocked, but at the same time not. I had this hunch that you're probably going to stay down there.
Yeah, I wanted, like, everything in me wanted to go back, but it was for my family. And I had a beautiful conversation with Stephen, and it was like my ego and God having a conversation with myself, like, and Stephen just held space and asked direct questions. It was clear to see, you know, and if I didn't make this switch, if I didn't do this for myself and what God was asking me, it was like I was be choosing hell. And, you know, it was clear for me to make that decision because of how much I love my family and how much I'm willing to sacrifice the old world for the new one for them and for myself, you know. So it's a big shift, but it's like it's clear as day now. Like it's so clear for me on like making this move. It has to be done because you know a lot like of what was going on in my house, Sophia. Like I can't go back to that now. Now that I've seen like like after the remember experience, it was like now that I've seen past the veil, it's like no, why would anyone choose to go back into that? You know?
can I ask you to speak to the fruits of that too, with what your kids are doing there?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like
so
to know.
I've ever since like because you know how like there was all anger and like frustration and like
Resentment.
manipulation that was the before, right? Before I even, you know, made the decision. And like I didn't even talk to them really while I was out here. And once I made that decision, almost like an hour later, they called me. And my daughter, my son, my husband, they all contacted me, and it was happy and it was, you know, powerful. And they kind of understood, and they're excited, you know. So the shift happened so fast because I made a decision for my greatness, you know, and for our greatness, you know, because if it happens in one, it happens in all of us. And once I did that, it was clear. Yeah, there's frustrations. Yeah, there's certain things, but it's not they're not doing that to me anymore. They're not trying to take it out on me. It's like they have their own thing that they're working through. and it has nothing to do with me anymore. So it
Right.
was huge. Yeah, it was huge, massive changes. So,
How
but
about
I'm
them
loving.
picking up responsibilities,
Oh
taking
yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
roles on too?
That too. Like my daughter, she started picking up responsibilities around the house. She just started cleaning and, and asking my son to help with the dishes, and he's been doing that. They've been helping with the dogs and everything else. Like they're in so much more responsibility now because I'm not there doing every single job at the house. They actually just molded right in and started doing what they needed to do. So it's very
Wow,
interesting.
that's awesome. And they seem like they're at peace with your decision, right? They're at peace with
Yes
it.
and no. Yes and no. They want mom back because, like they want me to be doing everything again, but uh they have a sense of pride that, talking about it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm doing this." And so it's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They probably see you in a different light now, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, they have to because I am in a different light. Like
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
yeah, I'm completely in a different light. I
You're
even got
choosing
baptized
yourself.
out here again.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I also want to ask, I also want to say that I guess sometimes I feel like the victims are liberated, right? So when you're doing everything and you're heroing for the other people and then you stop it, I think there's a part of those people that feel liberated. Could that also be? They feel a little bit liberated in the sense that, you know, okay, now have to take responsibility, but maybe deep down inside, that's what they wanted.
It is deep down inside what they want. We all want to be
Yeah.
free, and
Uh-huh.
and when you're captive to somebody else based off of subconscious beliefs, I mean, you're actually captive in two spaces there. You're captive from your subconscious and from another person that doesn't allow you to get to your subconscious and break free from that. So it's like we say heroes kill their victims. Like it's a it's murder because you are taking that freedom away from them, and if nothing else, to choose their own journey. And that may not be going into their subconscious to take that, but as us being conscious creators here, we now have that awareness that anybody that we're heroing is not just our victim, but we have blood on our hands basically from taking their freedom away from.
That's interesting. Yeah, so they're becoming more self-reliant and becoming the people who they're meant to be.
Why did you say that was interesting?
But the blood on your hands, the murder, that's funny.
I couldn't come up
Analogy.
with anything else. I was
No,
trying to think of another quick analogy
no,
while
no,
it
no,
was
no, no. That was funny. No, that's good. That's a good one. It's blood on their hands.
But in essence, we've enslaved them and
No,
or held
you're
them
absolutely
captive.
right. Hold them captive, like you said. It's interesting because like you don't. I mean, you talk to the average person about this, they wouldn't think like you're nuts, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, because they think it's all physical. Like if you physically do something, well, no, it all starts energetically, what you're doing that leads people to actually do the physical part. It's metaphysical, then it becomes physical. So energetically, what we're doing is we're hoping that someone would do something, right? Like if you're the victim, you're looking for a perpetrator to attack you
Mm-hmm.
because you have that mentality, you have that focus, you have that intention with the way that you're carrying yourself, with how you're looking at the world. And it's because you've held something from something happening to you or a fear that you're holding. And so you're like almost basically wishing and praying for it to happen to you. And someone comes along and they'll do it to you because you're giving off that energy. Same thing with perpetrators. you know, they feel like they're victim to the world and they want to be heard and seen, and you know, like they want to take control over it, because when they're out of control, they're in chaos. So it's very interesting because it's all about the energy, the frequency. And when you start taking different action and start directing your focus and what you do want rather than what you don't want, and going towards faith rather than fear, you set not only yourself free, but everyone that's connected with you, because that power is 10 times stronger. Like everyone feels the transformation, and I don't even have to say shit.
Right.
I don't have to say anything because they're already connected with me.
Right. Yes. They are connected energetically. Yeah. And I was going to also say, as you mentioned this yesterday, about completion, right? And then I feel that my moment of completion was when I left my ex-husband. Like, when I finally woke up out of the domestication for my whole life. It's not just the one episode, it was my whole life of feeling domesticated, or programmed, maybe, possibly too, like programmed, domesticated, whatever you want to call it. Even though it was a free spirit, I probably wasn't the average domesticated person, but yeah, leaving my husband was my moment of truth. Like, that's when I found out who I was after some months after being away from him. And that's when I finally completely woke up to who I am and who I'm becoming and what my purpose was. Like, I had these visions, you know, and
I was just
so I
about to
felt
reference
complete.
that was also probably one of the first times you followed your intuition, at least in that relationship, stepping out of it.
Yeah,
It feels like that, like you finally followed your heart to leave your husband. Maybe you felt that for a little bit, but you actually acted and decided upon that.
yeah, I feel like being in that marriage was like a pressure cooker, because I did, even though we didn't necessarily, we didn't necessarily, we weren't in tune, you know, completely, but I did delve into a lot of spiritual things, and learned a lot, you know, spiritually, and you know, about the law of attraction, laws of the universe. So even though he was into all that, but at the same token, um, I took it. I took a different path with it. So I took the path of like, hey, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, more of faith. He took it more towards fear. You know, and he kind of, I felt that he kind of used fear to his advantage to manipulate and control me. Like, you know, doomsday scenarios, all that kind of stuff.
No,
Yeah. Huh?
I was saying no. Somebody using fear to manipulate.
Right. Why? What's the matter?
No, that's completely sarcasm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 And I bought into it. And that's the funny thing is, like, because I had a wool over my eyes, because I kind of saw him as a spiritual guru in some ways, because of the people he said he knew or he met, or seminars and places he went and all. Like, but I didn't realize that a lot of that stuff were lies. You know, it was just like this. Um, he wanted to appear like this grand person to me, I guess, and impress me and manipulate me, and I didn't. It's just, I guess, like Sarah was saying, you know, maybe internally I was looking for a hero or perpetrator, or maybe perpetrator, I think, because I mentioned this in one of the breakthrough classes to Chris, that I kept praying before I moved down to Maryland and, you know, married him or whatever, or moved down finally. Kept praying, and I got this visitation from my grandmother, and so I remember, like, I kept asking her for help. My grandmother from Spain, she had passed away, and we were very close. And so I'm like, so I remember having this dream that she's walking down the hallway where I live in this apartment building in New York, and she's just kind of going bye, 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 like, and all the way down to the hallway, like like almost saying like, I can't help you with this one, right? Because I always look for, uh, you know, information from, you know, whether it's loved ones. I always try to get a sign of something, you know. And what's interesting about the dream is like, I looking in hindsight, is that the reason why she was like, bye, 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 I can't help you. She didn't say I can't help you, but that was the feeling I got from the dream, is because I had to learn this on my own. You know, I actually had to learn this lesson on my own. If not, I wasn't going to learn it fully. So, yeah. So, yeah, the big 2x4 was a big one because it was sort of like an accumulation from all my life lessons in one. And then when I left, is like, wow, okay, now I know who I am, you know? So.
Thank you for that. You got something, Sarah?
What about you, Stephen? You haven't, what about you?
So I've been this journey really in the divine union aspect, and it revolves obviously around Melissa, and I've always felt that me and her had kids together for a reason. There was a reason that we had kids together, because I was in like 4-year or 5-year long relationships before her, and then I took like a 2 or 3 year break and just did me for a while and then met her. But those relationships, like I all right, I didn't wear protection, you know. I was just like, what is what is, and whoever I'm having a kid with, I feel is the one that is I'm supposed to be with. That's kind of what my space was. And so I've always had this feeling about Melissa and around the kids. I also there's something unique about it, obviously, and there's a reason why we had kids. And our journey over the really the I guess the last 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, kind of is coming to a point that last week I received a message to. So during the Remember event, we went down to the river and got baptized and anointed, and after her baptism, she broke down and went to the river by herself for like 10 or 15 minutes and had her journey with God. And I forgot that she had one other one, but so I knew that this was like either her first. I felt it was her first connection with them, but she did have another one, and so this was her second connection. And for whatever reason, well, um, I was told to ask her about her journey at the river, and then afterwards ask her to marry me. So I received that message, and then I was told to go over and share that news with John and Mel. So I went over to their house. I don't remember what day it was, like Thursday or Friday last week. And as soon as I walked into their house, I just started breaking down in tears of joy and laughter, and it was like a release. I don't I feel that it was because she had established her connection with God, and that's the mother of my kids. And like in a divine union, this is my personal feeling, is that you come together, and I this is all stuff that I'm still feeling into, and um but you come together through God, and there wasn't that possibility before. I remember looking at, because she hadn't until just recently hadn't had like a connection with God, which is funny is because she always thought that I didn't have like faith, and so she thought I didn't have faith because I didn't like to say the word God. And the reason why I didn't is because the people, like, to me in church and stuff back in the States, is it's not it's not it's not the essence of that word is not true that is used in most people back in the States, and maybe even in most churches. It's been a while, but I didn't get that feeling of heaven when I would go to churches. I didn't get that so I didn't like using the word. So she attributed it to me not having faith because I didn't use the word. And maybe I'm all over the place right now. I don't know. I feel like
That's okay. No, you're not.
So I went over to John and Mel's and just broke down. And in all of that, I asked Mel to call Melissa. She called Melissa. And in that, she just saw me breaking down, and I said, I love you. I would love to spend all of eternity with you. And will you marry me? What I forgot was that the order I was given was to ask her about her divine experience at the river. So pretty much all of that, it was inaudible to her. It wasn't allowed to go through, so she couldn't even hear it. The only thing that I was told that was heard on the other side was that I want to spend eternity with you, which I just found out yesterday. Where is that going? So on Monday, I was able to sit down with her and ask her about her time at the river, and asked her in that space. I didn't set a line in regards to time wise. I wasn't told to do that, by like, God didn't give me a say. He just told me to ask her. So I think that's kind of where I'm at this moment in time. Like, it's in
So
limbo. It's a
what
little
did
bit
she
in
say?
limbo.
What did she say?
She wanted time. She wanted a little bit of time, which I do understand for us to take a journey. She has only found that space twice in her life, very recently. So for her to get to that space again, I feel may take a little bit of working. I know she's also had the kids. She's also there, so I'm giving it love and compassion, and whatever. I'm resigned to what she says, like what the answer is. The joy that I had was the fact that she had found peace in her mind. I know how much her mind runs and controls her and dictates her. She's always running off to something else, wanting dogs. So
But you felt that there wasn't enough, she wasn't present enough with you,
she, well, she wasn't present enough with herself.
right?
Like, really, she could never be present with me if she couldn't be present with herself. And she now
Right.
has the ability to get into that space. She can get into a space that she can get present. And this, I feel that is the reason why I was told to ask her that, was so she can go to that space again and get a true answer for herself. And if it's yes, beautiful. If it's no, beautiful. But the fact that she can get to that space and she can ask a question to God, to love, and get an answer that she can feel complete and whole about, because she's going into her heart and able to do that instead of being in her mind, was the tears of joy that I was crying at Mel and John's house. Because I know she can get to that space now and ask that question and get that answer. And I will draw a line at some point in time, but I'm allowing the stuff like to naturally go. Like I don't want to force anything, especially if she's new to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's new to that space, so um I can kind of understand if she's new to that space that she wants to be in that space and relish in that space and you know, I guess find out who she is possibly or find out, that's I mean, that's kind of what happened to me when I left my husband. I just found out who I was and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want a relationship. But it doesn't mean that at that time, doesn't mean that what it's two different scenarios, obviously. But I fell in love with myself for the first time in my life. And I think that when you are in that space of finding who you are, it's like a newness and you're falling in love with yourself. It's almost like you want to relish in that space by yourself for a while. Like that's what happened to me. But like I said, I don't know if it's has anything to do with your scenario, but
No, I feel that that was maybe that's the reason why I was talking about my exes and the 3 years that I took in between before meeting Melissa was that I was able to go to that space and really find myself. Because those relationships piggybacked each other, and I've been looking for divine union, and that's probably also the part of the problem is that I've been looking instead of allowing.
right, right. Yeah, I actually recently had someone that was in my life for a little bit. He's a bit older than me. He's had some back issues, right? So I kind of cut him off because he was living with his wife. And he kept saying he was going to leave the wife or leave, it wasn't like your typical guy that was like, oh, I'm gonna leave my wife and never leaves her. It was, I believed that that was true. It's just he wasn't able to go and fix his house and do things he had to do, take the action steps to be alone away from his wife. So I kind of had to just completely cut it off. And, you know, um, I just, yeah. So, and it was kind of a blessing a little bit because I kind of saw some traits that I was like, I don't know if this is for me. But I've always had compassion for him because he's had several car accidents and has like a bad back. He's full of metal in his body. And so I actually was doing Reiki for him a while back ago. I was giving him like free Reiki, and that's how we started a friendship. And he would do like handyman stuff for me, whatever. But so we kind of like had a friendship, but it was a little more than a friendship. And thinking that maybe it would develop into something other than that. But then, so I cut off, when I got my new number for my business, I just started focusing on me because I felt like I was getting distracted and I was getting down into this, what, I don't know, if a drama situation, like pulled down, and I didn't want that. And right after I made the decision, I just cut him off. It was when I really soared and went really like head into everything, like started my Reiki business, started taking my courses. Like I just focused on me, like, I'm like, it's just time. I just need to focus on me. And I kind of felt like almost like I was starting to get into this hero role a little bit, a little over pendulated.
It's
And
not, I was gonna say that at one point in time, but
yeah, nurturing, always making him food and just inviting him over for dinner and and then when I would expect something like, oh, you want to meet up at this time in my place or whatever, he would be late. And I'm like, well, why are you late every time? Like, I felt like I almost felt like he was seeking negative attention. So lo and behold, I completely cut him off, but he only lives like a few blocks away from me. And every once in a while I take my walks and bump into him every once in a blue moon. And so so he's having a really bad back, and I saw him, and he was passing by with the car, and he's like, oh, I'm really, I was like, well, do you want to come in? He's like, I want to come for a Reiki session. I said, well, come in. I'll just, and I was like, I'll just give you a discount. No, I want to give you the price you want. All right. So he came in, I gave him the Reiki session, and then we're sitting down talking, and he's like, well, he all of a sudden tells me his wife left and bought a new house. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And then he's, we're just talking and whatever. And he's telling me about all about himself. And I'm telling about earth waking, of course, and all that stuff, and wanting to be in love because we were both in the truth movement and we're very similar, had very similar views, but I didn't want to be in that space anymore. And I told him, I said, I joined Earth Waking and I'm doing these practice master classes. And I feel like I'm more in love, like more calm now, like, and he's like, oh, I'm happy for you. And then he asked me, what about you? Like, I'm like, what about me? He's like, well, do you want to be alone? Like, are you wanting, like, he's wondering why I want to be alone. And now that his wife left, it's a opportunity kind of, which I was shocked that she left. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm enjoying my space being alone. And I said, I said, right now is not the right timing for me, maybe down the road, but I don't know if it would be with him, but I just told him, like, in general, relationship wise, I said, I'm in the middle of a lot of things this summer. And I just said, yeah, I'm enjoying my space being alone by myself. And I said, you can be alone and not necessarily be lonely, right? So, because he doesn't like the fact of being alone. Like I could already sense it. Like he'd want to shack up. And I told him back then, because of my experience with my ex-husband, you can stay at your place, I could stay in mine until, kind of like get to know each other. Like I'm not going to shack up with someone right away. That's just not my style anymore. Because I'm just really thinking, huh?
I said, good for you. You should. You should.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm
codependency right there.
I'm feeling my worthiness now, and I'm feeling like, and I'm also seeing, like, down the road, how would this dynamic be? Would that person want a lot of energy from me where I can't give, like, because I'm focused on, and I'm starting my life. He's ending, not that he's ending, but he's close to retirement. I'm reinventing and starting my life fresh, like in two different places. So, I don't know, and whatever. So,
it's beautiful. It sounds like you held your own on that and laid the line for him to know that there is in that space right now. That also allows him to go take time for himself and find himself too.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful, and that's the same. That's a different parallel to what Sarah did, leaving her kids and leaving there, and allowing them to step into their own. From that, she was actually putting a ceiling on where they could step in by doing all that stuff in heroing. And you would have been doing the same thing to that guy if
right.
you had gone down that path. Instead, you said no and you liberated him.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more thing. He said something about healer. Shit, I don't know if I forgot. Something about healing. Oh, he said that everybody around him is saying, now you can heal. And he's responding, well, I don't feel that that's the case, because she was gone a long time ago, And then so what I responded was, but it's still a big transition. It's still a big change of life. So even though he's not maybe aware that he needs to have time alone, like, I think he definitely needs time alone. So anyway, just want to add that.
Yeah, there's still definitely like some energetical ties there when you're in that space. And Sarah probably can speak to it if you want for a second. Angie,
Yeah,
thank you for your patience.
Yeah, of course. I got inspired by when you were talking about how when you met up with him, and then he was talking about, how his wife left him. And the big thing for me is recognizing that he didn't do that. He didn't leave his wife when he had the opportunity to with you.
Right.
When you already laid those ley lines down, he didn't step into that and take an action or a decision. And the only reason why he's now wanting to get back with you, which you spoke about, this is a reflector, is that he doesn't like being alone. And so now he's talking with you again because now he's saying, oh, look at the missed opportunity, rather than taking the opportunity or accepting the opportunity or allowing the opportunity when it was presented a while ago. So you stepping into your power and completely like cutting that off, that is amazing work, Sophia. Amazing work. Because
Thanks.
that's not a person that's out for what it is that you want to do in your life. That's a man that wants what he wants.
And really, that's not even
And
a man. He had to have his wife decide to move out instead of him cutting off the lines there. So and
Yeah.
yeah,
that's part of where our relationships are at this current state, is that the men have taken on the feminine roles and the women have taken on a more of a masculine. And that's the majority of relationships, I feel. Sorry to
Right.
step on you there, Sarah. I just had that.
no, you got inspired. And it's a very big highlight. I mean, Donna brought that up at the breakfast table today. And she's like, what if women who are single that, can they be in submission to God? Because there's not a lot of divine masculine men out here that are submitted to God. And John was even saying, yeah, it can be, but you can't start a kingdom without the divine order, which is beautiful. And I totally agree with that because it's true. You just can't. You might be able to have a house, you might be able to raise your home, but to have a community and a village, no, because you're following God's design and what he wants to have for you. And it goes, the Father, the Son, then Adam, and then Eve, and then the kids, right? And so if you mess that lineup up, you're trying to take God and make him, do your own principles and your own duty for you. Right. And you're trying to
We're
take the
playing
role over
God.
God. Yeah. You're trying to take the role over God. And that's where we get it all fucked up. So it's beautiful to stay in these conversations and constantly be curious and always be asking questions. But the biggest thing that I heard you say, Sophia, is you tapping into your intuition. You know what feels off. You know what is right for you, and just stay in that mastery of like owning your power, what's making you feel good, and don't step out of that alignment because these flying monkeys will try to come. And it's true. Like I've had numerous ones come at me while I'm here, and it's like, no, I'm not going to it. And it's so clear now, though, when you're stepping into that intuition space and when you're fully submitting, it's very clear because you get the hit. You're like, oh, this doesn't feel good in my body right now. So it's like, I'll let that go. I'll let that
Or
go.
it feels great. It doesn't always have to feel bad.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, this pleasure, it's going to get you in trouble. Intuitively what's going to happen. Oh, this could get me in trouble. I don't think I should go down that road. Right. And you're already getting the awareness, even though it might make your body feel good. It might get sensory updates or whatever it may be. But you know what's right and what's wrong for you. And everyone's different, but what I'm saying is everyone knows what's right to them. And they should follow that intuition and that feeling.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I also feel that so when, like you said, when he had the opportunity, he was having a lot of obstacles, right? So with the house, like getting the water line hooked up, all these different things. And so I remember in the beginning him talking about all these things. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I can help you resolve that. I can help you resolve that. I can help you resolve that. And in my mind, I'm like, why am I wanting to help him resolve that? That's a hero. Because in my mind, I want to take that masculine role and be like, hey, this is how it's done. I can attract that for you, or I can manifest, or I can do that. I can make some phone calls, whatever. And then in my mind, I'm like pulling away from that because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I falling into this, dynamic again. And then another thing that I really got a little bothered by was that I was talking to him about the law of attraction at times. I would send him these videos, and then he'd send me these texts back saying, beware of false prophets, you know? And so I'm like, I don't know. And then we ended up getting to an argument. Well, say argument. I just had to leave the car because he just kept trying to get me to explain the law of attraction to him and all these things that because I would talk to him as if I was doing my master class, right? The master class I do every week, like high flying disc, upstream thoughts, downstream thought, whatever this lingo I was saying, and that had worked for me, and manifesting beautiful things, all that. Obviously, in his life, he feels like he hasn't manifested the best stuff. So he's going to come. He's coming to come from an angle of like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And then he's asking me deeper questions, such as when a child is sick and has a disease, and is going to die, did he manifest that? And I said to him, on some level, yes, spiritually, he picked his life, and he probably, for whatever reason, decided to go into this, in the physical realm with an illness and possibly die young. Yes, for whatever, to bring lessons to other people around and whatever. But he just was not open with that. He was not in tune with it, or something. And he was just really angry one time at me and trying to prove me wrong. And this is what I'm all about. So I'm like, the very thing that I'm about in my life, he's going to go against and trying to convince me otherwise. That's not a person for me. So, anyway.
That's clear as day. That's clear as day. And also, I wanted to say this too, is because it came through, is that inspiration is not about showing your own superpowers. It's about showing others theirs, right? Mm-hmm. And so when he's trying to puff up his chest and show off about who he is, or try to make you agree with him, he's trying to take your power. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Rather than trying to give you your space, or try to like say whatever it is freely that you want to do with yourself, because you're a sovereign being, and allow you to be, even if you're wrong, like just allow you to be where you're at that moment, and let you choose whatever it is. There's no openness there. He's trying to take something. He's trying to get something from you. And if you give that up, your time, your energy, your presence, your money, whatever it may be, any of that will continue. And even Kirk says this about completion. It's like, when a relationship is ended, but it hasn't really ended, it's only ended with them, but not with you. That means that you're creating a world that no longer exists anymore. Like, you're still energetically tied to this person. You're still angry or upset, or have an emotional baggage from whatever that relationship ended in. That's all on you. And that's not a completion. That means that it might happen again. So there's something to forgive. There's something to learn. There's something to reevaluate or look at again and refocus the direction on, because there's something in there trying to get your attention, and some of them are, I feel like, desires, like the biggest desires of our heart, because God wants those to come true. And if that's a divine union, write out that divine union, and whatever comes your way, nope, you're not for me, because you're asking those questions. Nope, you're not for me. And then you'll know exactly which one is. You'll know it, like, without a doubt, because it's already there,
There'll be a divine alignment, not conflict in what you are trying to be, or not trying to be, what you are and what you are being. There won't be a conflict from somebody trying to puff out their chest.
Yeah, none at all. It's an allowing space. It's an accepting. And you might be completely polar opposites, but you're headed in the same direction. You know what I mean? You might have the same vision, but you're holding this space of like the divine masculine, the divine feminine together as one. And it creates this unity and this beauty together, because without one or the other, they're too overpendulated, right? And that's the gift that God gives us in this world is the polar opposite. So, you know, I'd say you know exactly what you want, Sophia. You are a very grounded woman who knows exactly what she's going for, what she wants. And I'd start praying, you know, like, because it sounds like you want a man in your life. And it sounds like you want that divine union. Yeah, maybe time is of the essence. You don't know when and you don't care about when that happens. But that might be a desire of your heart. That's why it keeps showing up in your life. I don't know. I just wanted to speak to that. That's what
It
came through
is.
for me.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I just want it to be the right situation, you know?
I
Yeah.
love her. I love Sarah's idea of writing down like what your main things are. And actually, I'm going to do that same thing. Just like this
Or like
is
qualities.
this is not qualities. Actually, what maybe my qualities are, and then when somebody comes that's aligned with those things, because
Yeah,
one of
like
the things
what are your values? What does a divine union look like? You know, it's not the features of the man, it's not what they look like or anything like that. It's about how they are. They've got to be following God. They have to have values, right? They can make mistakes, yeah, of course, you know, but it's like, you know, how do you conversate with each other? Is there an allowing? Is there space that's granted? You know, for you to work through those kinks.
Yeah.
You know, so
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's basically all that I was going to say, is just writing down what a divine union looks like and what the vision that you have is.
Yeah.
Because that's where they'll be in, is the vision when you're heading towards that.
When I first met him, I thought, oh, he is, you know, what I'm looking for. Was a lot of traits or things I liked, and he is.
for your codependency and his.
Yeah. But then what happened was I got to know him a little better, or maybe with time, some stuff came up that I was like, oh, I don't know about this. You know, it's the real him. And now I feel like he's sort of on his best behavior. Whenever he sees me, he's just like, and in my mind, I'm like, has he changed? No, how do I don't think so. You know, I mean, somebody doesn't change that rapidly, but I would say
Yes, they do. It happens. Change happens in an instant,
that's true.
Sophia. And you have changed so much. You have changed so much. So everything that you see and everything that you witness automatically already changes when they're in your vibration. You see how he changed the way that he viewed you. The things happened in his life changed as well. Like he no longer has a wife anymore. There's so many things that have changed in his life because you were a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I forgot what I was going to say. I feel like almost feel like I'd want a guy that has gone through the visionary program or something, or that should be the prerequisite.
That's what I was.
The
That's
visionary
what.
program.
So part of what I'm working on is this divine union thing. That basically I'm turning it into a game. So you got to do that. Like part of going 12 spaces is each week with the visionary program. You know, so it's going to be like a board game.
Really?
That people
That's interesting.
that you go through stuff with earth waking and then the village and different, you know, there's going to be other things, but it basically will be to be able to align with where I am. That's what you have to do, is go through earth waking stuff.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I've been waiting on allowing
dating. Sorry.
I've been waiting on this allowing my thing to like kind of come to its completion, and it's very close, I feel. And then after that I will know kind of what direction I'm taking with it. But that is part of it, is either going through my own journey and finding a divine union, or you know, helping others do it. Will be helping others doing the same and assisting in that regards. And yeah. And you were saying something, you were saying one last thing there.
No, could it be like a date? Because I kind of thought, I mean, we don't have enough people here, but earth waking dating site down the road?
Maybe. And I have a feeling that what this thing that I've been percolating and have been writing down, putting in form, will kind of be the essence of that. And I'm trying to make it fun. That's why it's a board game. Not technically a board game, but like the facets of one.
Awesome. Awesome. And are you still working on your masterclass, Stephen?
Um, that this one is going to take over that one. So the selflessly selfish will be a part of that, and actually there will probably be other people's master classes. I was thinking of you, like actually I was thinking of both of you to incorporate. Actually, anybody's master class that is involved that could be part of this, I want to reach out to those people. So I was thinking like maybe yours would be one of the first, like they join your gratitude rampage master class, and that helps them get into a good mindset. I feel like I was looking at the spaces that each of these different master classes, the visionary program, can land in to help go take that journey to know that, see their alignment with God and see their alignment with this mission. And that in turn shows that their alignment with us in an individual sense. And then from there, being able to come to a divine union.
Awesome, awesome. And so that would they go to the recording, because mine's going to end in like 4 weeks.
Yes, something along those lines. I haven't journeyed down that path yet. There's been a lot going on this last week and a half. So my energy has been kind of just sitting here at the village between the event, yeah, so on and so forth. So I haven't gotten into that space that takes that I need I need space for that, and I haven't had that over the last week and a half.
Right, I get it. I really looking forward to doing getting back into the songwriting.
Well, I just
Definitely.
wrote a song here. And I
Awesome.
was feeling into it now that Sarah's down here, and if we go down to the beach, hell, we can do this, write it down, make the song in the hour in between her master class, and then she do her master class at the beach, and we come back up the road and call it a day. So we'd be creating a song down at the beach an hour after the master class.
That's really cool.
Down by the beach, boy. No, I'm just kidding.
Down
Yeah,
by the beach.
And also too, I don't know where John is at, but remember we did that little song and one of our last. I remember it was like a spontaneous song. We could also work on that at some point. But you remember that one? Pains in my veins.
I do
Oh yeah,
remember.
Yeah, I think once my master class is ended, and and I'm gonna get some space in July a little bit more, like before I come down. Hopefully, I can lay down that track for that song for me and you, Stephen, sometime in July.
I mean, at this point in time, you might as well wait till you get down here. If you're thinking of recording it in July, you're going to be here at the end of July.
That's true.
Send the Spire back.
No. I like it. I like the Spire. I just haven't.
Have you been using it?
No.
So then, how can you say you like it?
No. I like it. I feel like I'm gonna like it. It's my intuition talking.
All right,
I feel like I'm gonna really like it, but.
Way to call her out, Dreamin'. I love it.
I'm liking it in advance. No, but I've been having this weird thing with my phone, and I didn't use my intuition for this. I ordered the wrong phone. It was the wrong size, and so I'm getting another phone. And the store messed up something with. They said the phone was coming in, never came in. I would have had to pay more than what I thought I was going to pay. It just so I just attribute it to divine timing. How about that? Don't get like frustrated.
Or the divine saying, "Send the Spire back."
It was like $160. It wasn't that bad. And I could still record vocals on it. I got a good deal on it. So I'm gonna at least try it. But
are you in Aspire? Are you in Spire?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm inspired with the Spire. Yeah, no, but I can record the vocals down there. That sounds like more fun anyway.
It will be. We actually haven't even messed around with any recordings since Sarah's been here. It's just been.
Yeah, because of the experience and everything else, there's been so much.
But my question to you, Stephen, is will we have the time? Because you guys seem so busy, or you, Stephen, too, seem so busy. Will we have the time to record the vocals? Hopefully you'll make time.
We will make sure that it happens. I will make sure that it happens.
Boom.
You're here for a week?
9 days.
9 days, that's beautiful. Do you have, you said the July 30th through
August
August?
8th until August 8th.
All right.
And
My kids are with me during the weekend. Not, and actually that could happen. It could happen then too. So we'll definitely, I'm gonna feel into when the space would be best to do it and make sure that like a day is set that we can sit on that.
how long does it take to record? Just real quick to record it.
It depends on how good you are.
I have some experience with doing it, so
All right, so I don't know. Well,
I'll do a vocalization before.
what I can
Love you
also
all.
do is I can do the scratch tracks beforehand and get them to you so you can. Uh, well, you already have scratch tracks, right?
What do you mean?
Like my rough vocals and guitar. I sent that
Yeah,
to you, right?
I do. Yeah, yeah.
So just work with that. If you work with that and sing on that, I don't know if you've been doing that at all, but that will give you some practice finding the melodies and
I'll definitely
things.
practice. I'll definitely practice before I go down there. Be cool if we could record another song, but we'll just play it by ear. We'll do what we can do.
Well, yes, and yeah, I
Yes,
feel like some space is starting to open up, and every time I feel that way, there's something else that comes in to shift that. So
right. So
I
maybe
always I always
go ahead.
speak too soon in that space.
Right. Maybe, yeah. So maybe you could do a breakthrough on that. I don't know. Or we
I
both
don't.
can.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that may just be the way of life at this moment in time.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff. So that's good. You know,
And
it's awesome.
I'm glad we
Okay.
got to catch up and speak, Sophia. I feel like it's been forever, and it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So maybe you'll make my masterclass sometime.
Yeah,
So
I'll do that. This. How many more do you have? I'll
I think
definitely come this next.
I have 3 or 4 more.
I can't say
Like 4.
definite
I know
either.
because you guys have long breakfasts.
It,
But
it
today,
it
yeah,
sporadically happens, you know. So,
right. I get it.
but one of these
It's
before
fine.
you're done, I will definitely come to one, and I'll try to make, you know, two. That's my goal.
Right. Okay.
All right, fair enough.
No pressure. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't feel any pressure, so I know that will happen as long as you say fair enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, awesome. All right. All right, Stephen. Dreaming, Stephen.
All right, love you, Sophia. You have a
All right.
beautiful rest of the day.
All right. Love you too.
Ciao.
Bye.